The intake. The first thing you notice isn't the walls. It's the sound. Metal doors slamming. Boots echoing down concrete corridors. Voices bouncing off cinder block. Somewhere, someone is yelling. Somewhere else, someone is laughing. And beneath it all, the constant hum of a building that never sleeps. Welcome to the intake floor of Dallas County Jail. In a city of more than 1 million people, arrests don't slow down when the sun sets. They surge. Saturday nights are what officers call rush hour. Alcohol, narcotics, arguments that spiral out of control, all of it funnels into one place. One underground corridor, one holding area, one system built to process up to 300 new bodies a day. Above ground, downtown Dallas glitters with glass towers and polished streets. Below it, in a fluorescent-lit processing room, people wait on metal benches, wrists cuffed, eyes darting, futures uncertain. Some will bond out in hours. Others will not see freedom again for decades. The woman in the mask. She arrives screaming. 2 officers guide her down the hallway, one gripping each arm. A white spit mask covers her face. She moves erratically, jerking her shoulders, cursing at no one in particular. Earlier that night, she allegedly attacked her boyfriend with a knife. Witnesses say she seemed detached from reality. Officers suspect PCP, a drug notorious for stripping away fear and amplifying aggression. Now she's here. Intake does not slow down for chaos. Her name is logged. Her fingerprints are taken. The mask stays on. Every inmate goes through the same process. It doesn't matter if you're intoxicated. It doesn't matter if you're screaming. It doesn't matter if you're innocent. Stand still. Hands flat. Roll each finger. The scanner beeps. Another identity absorbed into the system. The fugitive. Sergio sits quietly on a bench nearby. He has been running for 6 months. He knows the drill. No dramatics. No sudden movements. No unnecessary eye contact. He was picked up on drug charges. Again, he had been using a false name, staying with different friends, sleeping light, always ready to leave at a moment's notice. Living on the run has its own kind of prison. But tonight, that chapter is over. He answers the intake questions calmly. Have you ever attempted self-harm? No. Do you feel hopeless today? A pause. No. The questionnaire decides where he will be housed. Normal population, or mental observation, or somewhere worse. Officers search him thoroughly. Waistband, socks, seams, underclothing. People hide contraband in places most would never imagine. Razor blades, pills, small packets sealed in plastic, even broken pieces of vent grates sharpened into stabbing tools. Nothing is missed if the officers can help it. Sergio is handed striped jail-issue clothing. The uniform fits loosely. It will be the only wardrobe he sees for a while. A system under pressure. Dallas County Jail is one of the largest detention facilities in Texas. 3 massive concrete towers rise beside the courthouse. Together, they hold thousands of inmates awaiting trial. Some face minor charges. Others face capital murder. Texas is known for tough sentencing. Plea deals happen quickly. Trials move fast. And when the verdict comes, it is rarely light. Inside the intake room, no one knows what category they will fall into. Some stare at the floor. Some talk nervously. Some already align themselves with gang affiliates. Subtle nods, coded greetings, the recognition of shared territory from the outside world. The street does not disappear behind bars. It reorganizes. Classification. After 11 hours of waiting, Sergio is escorted upstairs. The hallway smells faintly of disinfectant and stale air. Cameras sit in each corner, unblinking. His file indicates mental housing. He shakes his head. I'm not crazy. But the system isn't making a moral judgment. It's making a logistical one. Mental housing doesn't always mean instability. It can mean prior history. It can mean self-reported stress. It can mean something as small as how a question was interpreted during intake. He is handed a thin mat. He is shown to a pod enclosed by reinforced glass. 6 men share the space. The door shuts. For a moment, no one speaks. Then one inmate glances up and nods once. The hierarchy is already in motion. The North Tower. At 4 a.m., the maximum security unit stirs. Here are the defendants charged with the most serious crimes: aggravated assault, armed robbery, homicide. Among them is a 19-year-old named Tamak. He has been here for 2 years awaiting trial. Today is his court date. He barely slept. In Texas, a life sentence can mean exactly that, life. He stands in front of the small metal mirror bolted to the wall and runs his fingers through his hair. He joined a street gang as a teenager. He says he learned early that survival meant affiliation. His cellmates share that affiliation. Gang identity inside jail often determines where you sleep, who you speak to, and whether you are safe. Tamak insists he did not pull the trigger in the shooting that brought him here. Prosecutors claim otherwise. Today, a plea deal may decide his future. 20 years, 17 years, or trial, which could mean far more. Women behind the badge. In another tower, Officer Nichols begins her shift. She has worked here for 25 years. She is one of hundreds of female detention officers in the facility. In fact, women make up the majority of security staff. Her assignment: a pod housing 64 male inmates charged with violent crimes. There is no barrier between her and them. No glass wall, no cage, just space and vigilance. She begins with count. Gentlemen, rack up. The inmates sit on their bunks. Numbers are checked. The room stays tense but controlled. She cannot show fear, not because she isn't human, but because perception matters here. If inmates sense hesitation, they may test it. She moves through the pod with measured authority. Calm, direct, clear. Experience has taught her that most conflicts erupt without warning. 1 second laughter. The next, fists. The Special Response Team. Elsewhere in the North Tower, the Special Response Team prepares for a shakedown. They move methodically, protective gear secured, radios checked, pepper ball launchers loaded. Their target, a unit rumored to contain improvised weapons. When they enter, speed is everything. Inmates, stand up, hands behind your back. Compliance determines how smoothly things go. The team searches mattresses, vents, hygiene containers. Inside a jar of hair grease, an officer finds a hidden razor blade. In another cell, a piece of broken metal sharpened to a point. Improvised weapons are common. Time is abundant in jail. Ingenuity thrives. The search ends with confiscated contraband and a restless pod. It will not be the last search this week. Waiting. Back in mental housing, Sergio stares at the ceiling. There is no television, no phone yet, no certainty. He thinks about the months he spent looking over his shoulder. The adrenaline, the fear of every siren. Oddly, this feels quieter. But quieter doesn't mean safer. The men around him talk about court dates, about girlfriends, about probation violations, about fights that happen in other units. One inmate laughs at nothing in particular. Another whispers to himself. Sergio closes his eyes. The hardest part, he realizes, is not the noise. It's the waiting. Waiting for bond. Waiting for a lawyer. Waiting for sentencing. Waiting to know whether this is temporary or permanent. Beneath the surface, from the outside, the jail is concrete and steel. From the inside, it is layered with invisible lines, gang affiliations, personal histories, debts, grudges carried in from the streets. An argument that started months ago can reignite in seconds. A look interpreted the wrong way can trigger confrontation. That is why classification matters. That is why officers separate rival groups. That is why tension never fully dissolves. Because here, every man has something at stake. Some have decades. Some have nothing left to lose. As dawn breaks over Dallas, sunlight reflects off the courthouse windows. Inside, fluorescent lights remain constant. The intake benches fill again. Another transport bus pulls in. Another set of names enters the system. For some, this is a brief stop. For others, this is the beginning of a long sentence measured not in days, but in years. And for a few, today will decide everything. Chapter 2, the sentence. Morning in jail doesn't begin with sunlight. It begins with keys. Metal scraping against metal. Doors sliding open. Officers calling out counts. The rhythm is mechanical, practiced, relentless. In the North Tower, where the most serious charges are housed, movement is tightly controlled. Every step is documented. Every door is timed. For Tamak, this is a day. He sits on the edge of his bunk long before officers call his name. His charge, capital murder. His age, 19. His future, undecided. In Texas, plea bargains move fast. Trials move faster. And juries are not known for mercy when gangs are involved. He has been waiting 2 years for this moment. Today, it will be over in minutes. The tunnel. An underground tunnel connects the jail to the courthouse next door. It eliminates escape risks. It eliminates spectacle. No press. No public walk-through crowds. Just shackles. Hands cuffed. Waist chain secured. Ankles clipped. Tamak steps into line with dozens of other inmates. Some whisper to one another. Others stare ahead. A few close their eyes and pray. More than 200 inmates will appear in court today. Some hearings will last less than 3 minutes, but those 3 minutes can mean 30 years. All life, plea or trial. Inside the courtroom, everything feels smaller than he imagined. The judge sits elevated. The prosecutor shuffles papers. A public defender stands beside him, appointed, not chosen. The first offer had been 25 years, then 20. He asked for 17. The state said no. Now the choice is simple. Accept 20 years in the penitentiary, or go to trial, where the risk is far greater. The judge asked him directly, is the state offering 17? No. Will the state offer 17 at any time? No. He looks at his attorney, looks back at the bench. I'll accept 20. There is no drama, no speech, just paperwork and procedure. Guilty, 20 years. Transport to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice when processed. The gavel doesn't slam. The room doesn't react. It is routine. But for Tamak, it is a dividing line between teenage mistakes and middle-age release. If he behaves, if he earns good time, if nothing else goes wrong, he will be nearly 40 when he walks out. Back to the tank. When he returns through the tunnel, the North Tower feels different. Not louder, not quieter. Just permanent. The uncertainty is gone. The waiting is over. Now there's a number attached to his life. In the pod, the other inmates look up. How much? 20. Some nod. For his charge, it could have been worse. Inside jail culture, numbers are currency. They determine status, risk level, and sometimes respect. He sits on his bunk. 20 years. He calculates automatically. Time served, 2 years. Good behavior potential. He focuses on one thing, survive the system long enough to leave it. The aggravated pod. In the South Tower, Officer Nichols begins her shift in a 64-man aggravated pod. No barrier separates her from the inmates. No shield of glass. Just proximity. She performs count. 64 faces. 64 stories. Armed robbery. Assault with a deadly weapon. Repeat violent offenses. Most are awaiting trial. Some have already been sentenced and are waiting for transfer. The atmosphere shifts depending on court outcomes. Sentencing days are the most volatile. When someone receives decades behind bars, emotions spike. Anger, despair, sometimes both. She keeps her voice steady. Rack up. The men comply, for now. When the mood turns, gang lines run invisibly through the pod. Bloods in one corner, other affiliations in another. Some inmates are classified as civilians, unaffiliated, often more vulnerable. The separation is strategic. It prevents street conflicts from exploding inside, but it doesn't eliminate tension. A glance can be misread, a comment overheard, a debt remembered. Officer Nichols has seen it happen in seconds. One moment, quiet conversation. The next, fist flying. When fights erupt, backup is called. But for the first few seconds, she stands alone. Training tells her to control her breathing. Command presence matters. Confidence matters. If she appears shaken, the room feels it. And if the room feels weakness, it responds. The North Tower, isolation. Upstairs, the special response team prepares for another call. An inmate in isolation is refusing commands. Isolation cells are small, roughly 40 square feet. Concrete bed, steel toilet, minimal belongings, 23 hours a day inside, 1 hour out a few times a week. It is designed as discipline, but extended confinement takes a psychological toll. The inmate inside is pacing. He claims he needs medical attention. The team lines up outside the cell. Commands are given. Step back from the door. If he complies, restraints go on smoothly. If he resists, force escalates. Measured, controlled, documented. The door opens. Within seconds, he is restrained and secured. He will spend up to 2 hours in a restraint chair to calm down, if necessary. The procedure is standardized. Emotion is removed from it, because if emotion enters, control leaves. Pride and consequences. Isolation houses some of the most high-profile inmates. Men who made headlines. Men who believe notoriety equals status. One young inmate admits openly that he was on the news after a fatal assault. He says alcohol blurred the memory. Now he sits alone with it. In solitary, there is nothing to distract from regret. No television, no constant conversation. Just books, newspapers, and the echo of your own thoughts. Some inmates deteriorate mentally. Some grow quieter. Some become more volatile. Officers monitor them constantly, because despair can turn inward as quickly as it turns outward. The trustees. Not all inmates remain locked down. Trustees are selected from those deemed less likely to cause harm. They perform basic work inside the facility: cleaning, distributing meals, maintenance support. It is considered a privilege, a step toward better classification, but it comes with risk. Trustees must enter areas others avoid, including isolation tiers. They clean cells after disciplinary stays. Sometimes they encounter walls marked with messages written in blood or other substances. Sometimes they are targeted by inmates angry over food portions or denied requests. Still, many volunteer. One trustee says drugs brought him here after years of sobriety. Another says this is his final chance before a long prison sentence. They speak about probation, about rehab programs, about not wanting to restart life at 50. Jail is a holding place, but prison is final. They want to avoid that next transfer. The phone. Late afternoon, the special response team mobilizes again. A tip has come in, a contraband cell phone inside a high-risk pod. Cell phones are valuable in jail. They allow communication with the outside world, continuation of criminal enterprises, coordination that bypasses monitored lines. The SRT lines up, doors open. Before they can fully enter, a fight breaks out inside the pod. 2 inmates lunging at one another. The team moves fast. Pepper ball launchers are visible but not fired unless necessary. Orders are shouted. Inmates down. Hands behind your back. Within moments, the chaos is contained. Search begins. Mattresses flipped. Clothes shaken. Vent covers examined. A sharpened piece of plastic is found, but no phone. Information suggests it may have been passed to another unit moments before entry. It becomes a cat-and-mouse game. Sometimes a team wins immediately. Sometimes it takes days. But contraband rarely stays hidden forever. The verdict settles in. Back in his cell, Tamak sits quietly. He replays a courtroom conversation in his head. 20 years. He tells himself it's better than life, better than a jury trial gamble. He calculates release possibilities with good behavior credits. 10 years. Maybe, but jail is only the beginning. Soon he will transfer to state prison. A different environment. Different rules, different hierarchy. He wonders who will visit, who will answer when he calls, who will still be there a decade from now. For now, he focuses on one thing: stay out of trouble, because every infraction adds time, and 20 years can stretch quickly into more. Night falls. Outside, Dallas glows under city lights. Inside, the fluorescent hum never changes. Officer Nichols completes her final count. No major fights today. No serious injuries. In this environment, that qualifies as success. She hands off her shift. Another officer takes her place. The cycle continues. In intake, new arrests are already arriving. In isolation, someone is shouting at the wall. In mental housing, Sergio stares at the ceiling, wondering how long his case will drag on. In maximum security, Tamak lies awake, no longer waiting for a sentence, but beginning to live inside one. And in the underground tunnel, chains clink as another group is escorted to court. Because in this place, justice moves fast, and time moves slowly. No sunlight. In Dallas County Jail, time does not pass. It settles. It lingers in the corners of cells. It hums inside fluorescent lights. It stretches between count times and court dates and meal trays sliding through narrow slots in steel doors. By the time an inmate reaches isolation, time feels different. He no longer measures days by sunlight. He measures them by footsteps in the hallway. The last stop, the isolation cell, is about 40 square feet. Concrete slab for a bed, thin mat, steel toilet bolted to the wall, a small shower head above a drain in the floor. No television, no radio, no human contact beyond commands through the door. 23 hours inside, 1 hour out, sometimes. Some inmates land here for attacking others, some for attacking officers, some for possession of weapons or contraband. Others stay indefinitely because they are considered too dangerous to house anywhere else. One inmate has been here 145 days. He speaks through the door slot, voice echoing in the narrow tier. He insists he is innocent. He says someone else committed the shooting. He says he was just there. He says the video doesn't show him. But the door does not respond. The cell does not argue. It just waits. The psychological edge. Isolation is not loud in the way a housing pod is loud. It is loud in the mind. With no conversations to interrupt thought, memory becomes relentless. Regret becomes repetitive. Anger echoes. Some inmates cope by reading. Some by exercising in place. Some by shouting into the corridor just to hear their own voice bounce back. Officers monitor carefully. Mental health rounds are routine. Medication is dispensed through secure slots. The jail knows prolonged confinement can destabilize even those who seemed stable before. And instability in a facility this large can ripple outward quickly. The restraint. When isolation escalates, when an inmate refuses commands, threatens self-harm, or damages property, the special response team responds. They move in formation. Commands first. Compliance preferred. Force only if necessary. One inmate claims he needs medical attention. He pounds the door, refuses to step back. The team lines up, back away from the door. He hesitates. The door opens. Within seconds, control force brings him to the floor. Restraints applied. Medical staff notified. If behavior continues, he may be placed in a restraint chair for a limited period. Monitored, documented, timed. The process is clinical because chaos is contagious. And in a jail this size, control is survival. The trustees gamble. On another tier, trustees push meal carts down narrow hallways. 3 meals a day, slid through feeder ports. The doors never open. Trustees volunteer for these assignments. It breaks monotony. It offers minor privileges. It signals to classification officers that they are trying, but it also puts them closest to frustration. Food portions spark complaints. Some inmates demand extras. Trustees cannot give them. Occasionally, trays are thrown back through the slot. Liquids follow. Sometimes worse. Trustees learn to stand at an angle. They learn which cells to approach cautiously. Still, many say it's worth it. One trustee talks about heroin destroying a stable life. Another talks about losing a child and spiraling into addiction. Both are weeks away from transfer to state prison, one to a rehabilitation program, another to a longer sentence. They know jail is temporary. Prison is not. This job is their attempt to prove they deserve another chance. The phone hunt. Contraband changes the balance inside. A rumor spreads that a cell phone is circulating again. Phones are rare but powerful. They allow contact beyond monitored lines. They create leverage. They extend influence past steel walls. A tip comes from outside, a concerned relative reporting harassment. The special response team assembles. The targeted pod is volatile. Before the team fully enters, 2 inmates begin fighting. Orders are shouted. Inmates down. The team floods a unit. Within moments, the altercation is over. Both inmates restrained and escorted out. Search begins. Mattresses peeled open. Blankets shaken. Vent covers removed. Toothpaste tubes squeezed. Officers know the hiding spots. Inside jars of hair grease. taped under metal frames, sealed inside hollowed-out books. They find a sharpened piece of plastic, but no phone. Information suggests it was moved seconds before entry. This is the pattern. The jail searches. Inmates adapt. The jail searches again. Eventually, the phone will surface. It always does. Acceptance. Back in maximum security, Tamak has had time to sit with his sentence. 20 years. The number no longer shocks him. It settles. He calculates again. Time served. 2 years. If transferred soon, he could be eligible for release sooner than 20 with good behavior. He tells himself he did not pull the trigger. He tells himself the plea deal was survival. Trial could have meant life. He replays the courtroom exchange in his mind, the negotiation over years like bargaining in a market. 20, not 17. Accept or risk everything. He accepted. Now the focus shifts. Stay disciplined. Avoid infractions. Avoid gang conflicts inside. In prison, affiliations matter even more, and violence adds time. The aggravated pod at dusk. Officer Nichols moves through her pod one last time before shift change. 6 to 4 men. No barrier. She has worked here long enough to recognize patterns. Court days bring tension. Sentencing days bring silence. Heavy, reflective silence. She watches body language. Shoulders tightened. Conversations muted. When someone receives a long sentence, emotions surge. Some lash out. Some withdraw. Her job is to read it before it erupts. Today has been quiet. No major fights. No injuries requiring medical transport. In this environment, that counts as a good day. She finishes count. Signs off her log. Another officer steps in. The system never pauses. No sunlight. In isolation, the lights never change. An inmate presses his face near the small window slit. He hasn't seen direct sunlight in weeks. He counts cracks in the wall. He reads and rereads the same newspaper. He wonders whether the world outside still remembers him. Isolation is described as discipline, but it is also reflection. Some inmates leave it calmer. Some leave it angrier. Some leave it unchanged. But none leave it unaffected. The underground clock. The underground tunnel between jail and courthouse stays active late into the evening. Another group is escorted back. Another hearing completed. Another plea entered. Some inmates receive probation. Some receive transfer orders. Some return to wait longer. Above ground, the Dallas skyline glows. Restaurants fill. Traffic hums. Life continues. Below ground, chains clink against concrete. For every inmate sentenced today, another was booked. For every trustee released, another will volunteer. For every cell searched, another rumor will circulate. The jail operates like a machine. Efficient, relentless, unemotional. The last reflection. Sergio lies awake in mental housing. He does not know when his case will be called. He does not know if bond will be granted. He does know this. Running is over. Now the waiting begins. He listens to distant shouting from another tier. A door slams. Footsteps echo. In maximum security, Tamak stays at the ceiling and counts the years ahead. In isolation, a man whispers to himself in the dark. In the South Tower, Officer Nichols drives home after shift, knowing tomorrow the doors will open again. Dallas County Jail holds thousands. Robbers, drug offenders, assault suspects, men who insist they are innocent, men who admit they are not, each one measuring time differently. Some by court dates, some by release dates, some by how long they can endure a room without sunlight. The jail does not judge. The court does that. The jail contains. And tomorrow, before dawn, intake will fill again. New names, new charges, new stories. Because in one of the toughest detention centers in Texas, the cycle never stops. And inside these walls, time is the only thing no one can escape.